Point City is a quick card drafting engine building game where players will be drafting resource cards which will then be used to build the various buildings in the grid. On their turn, a player will draft 2 orthogonally adjacent cards in the 4x4 grid. The grid will start the game with only resource cards. When drafting resource cards, they will go into your hand and then you will replace those resource cards with buildings. Each card is double-sided. One side will have resources and the other will have buildings. And empty spaces in the grid will get filled in with the opposite of what was drafted. So resource cards will get filled in with buildings and buildings will get filled in with resource cards. As stated, you will use your resources to build buildings. Each building will have a cost at the bottom of the card. When you draft a building, you must immediately pay for it, though note that you are allowed to pay with the resource card you drafted in the same turn. That building will then get added to your tableau. Many buildings will give you a permanent resource shown here for the rest of the game, and you can stack like resources together in your city. So at this point I have 3 permanent community resources, 2 energy resources, and 4 economy resources. Though note you can only use each permanent resource once per round. Many buildings will also be worth points at the end of the game shown here. Some buildings are special Civic buildings which are denoted by this symbol here. When you build one of these, you will take one of the Civic tokens laid out at the beginning of the game. These will be worth points for making various sets or for having specific resources. Throughout the game, you may gain Ingenuity cards which are wild resources. As the game goes on, you will move from tier 1 cards to tier 2 and then tier 3. These will be more expensive but generally worth more points. The game will end when you are no longer able to refill the market. Then players will count up the points on their buildings and then tabulate the points from their Civic tokens, and the player with the most points will win.